Hello everyone. So we're going to switch to English. Sorry about that. So I'm very happy to be back in Ukraine after 1 year and to discover the city of Lviv because this is my first time in Lviv. So I had a chance to see a little bit yesterday night. And well, we're going to work together for almost 4 days. So I think it will be very interesting because we will learn from each other and we will try to define what could be the nightscape of Lviv in the future, imagining luminous ambience for people living here, for visitors, and for what we would project in the future for the city. I think it's very, very important, as Anton mentioned at the very beginning, that we keep in mind this balance between light and darkness. So we will talk a lot about darkness during these 4 days, and I will try to show you and explain to you what we call dark infrastructure methodology to express this balance between lighting master plan and darkness. So very quickly, I've been starting this profession almost 40 years ago. When I started in France, there was almost no lighting designer, there were just 2 or 3 lighting designers. Nowadays we are 130 lighting designers and we have around 25 studios, with some of them quite big, with 20-25 persons working. So I had a studio from many years, and at the end of 2023 I sold it because I wanted to be free again. Thank you. I wanted to be free again. I wanted to work more, I would say, alone, because the pressure and the load of a studio is something sometimes difficult to bear. So I was very happy to come back as a freelance lighting designer, and I do quite a lot of mission of consultancy, advising many cities still in the world. In China, I've been working in China for 80 years, and I'm still working there, helping cities, but also doing research and development with Chinese manufacturers. And I also the consultant of the city of Montevideo, that is the capital of Uruguay in South America, and I advise them since 4 years. So it's very nice to be able to go on doing this profession and trying to develop it as much as possible in many countries. I started light urbanisers. At that time I called it light urbanisers. Now we better call it night urbanisers or nocturnal urbanisers, because you will see during this workshop we will talk as much as possible about night, not only about light, but about night. Just to remind you, night is 50% of our lifetime. We, as professionals, especially our friends and colleagues, urban planners, architects, and landscape architects, think that daytime is the most important things. And most of the projects you could see from architects and urban planners are made for daytime uses. And I think it's so important to not forget this 50% of our lifetime. So we need to discover night, we need to understand night, we need to really travel into the night time, like we do tonight in a different location. And we need to, if possible, to study what are the users at night. We will talk about users very often during the workshop, because if we do lighting, we do that first for people that are using this lighting, but we will do it also for activities that could be leisure, that could be work, that could be safety, that could be a lot of things that happen during the night. I don't know about the data for Lviv, but in Paris, where I live in France, 14% of the population is living at night, working at night, and traveling at night. So it's a lot of people, because Paris is more or less 2.2 million inhabitants. So when you think 14% of the population working at night and staying at night in the city is very important. And in one of the lectures tomorrow, I will what we call geography of night. That is a new discipline that has been launched mostly by geographers. Quite some geographers in France, but there is also many others working in different countries, like in Canada or Vietnam or even Africa. And this idea of geography at night is to study and to understand how people are using the night, how people are in terms of position or trip or travel during night time. And for us, this is very, very important information and very important tools. So we will try to discover all that together. We will explain a little bit later what is the methodology. So lighting design is, as I said, a quite young profession, but really now we have the chance to work in many, many fields. When I started, most of the time we were doing lighting of monuments, historical monuments, and we had a long history in France about lighting of historical monuments. But nowadays we work, as you can see, on many, many different fields and topics. We are very happy to extend and expand the way we do lighting design. So it's so important to combine lighting design with public space project and public space study as much as possible. When we can start at the very beginning of the competition, we are very happy to do that because we can work really in a very good symbiosis with landscape architects, urban planners and architects. So we had a chance to do a lot of projects with the team of architect and landscape architect. And nowadays in France, almost all the, I would say, important projects of public space or master plan are made with a team where there is a lighting designer integrated into the team from the very, very beginning. And I would suggest to Anton to ask for that. Each time it's possible, when you do a competition, ask to have a lighting designer within the team, because for you it won't be more expensive, because the team will have to split the fees, but at least you will have a night vision and you will have all sorts of proposals. So we have the chance now in France that most of the competition, I would say quasi all the competition, are with team of lighting designer. So we work also a lot on contemporary architecture, like Nicolas showed. We work on the facade, again, as much as possible, if we can start from the very beginning of the project, to integrate the lighting into it, to discuss with the architects about the material, about the way we could create a nighttime vision of the building. The good thing about lighting for architecture is you can totally transform the building at nighttime. So you can decide with the architect to make another vision of the building at nighttime, or you can decide just to highlight the building or to highlight some important elements. Sometimes we fight with the architects because they want just to have a similar nighttime vision of the daytime vision. And very often as lighting designer, we prefer to offer other kind of lectures, other kind of vision. So that debate, but at least we know that with lighting we can transform and we can also show in a very different manner. It's more easy on the contemporary architecture compared to historical monument. Sometimes it's very difficult to offer a very innovative approach on a cathedral or on a very old building, but for contemporary architecture, you can, working from the very beginning, do something totally different. And we work also on infrastructure, on bridges, whatever kind of bridges, like the one on the top is 16th century, and the one on the bottom has been made in 2004, when it was the launch of the Olympic Games in Greece. And they create this bridge that is one of the most biggest bridge in the world. It's 2.5 kilometers long, and we had the chance to work on that again at the very beginning and trying to find this balance between light and darkness. It was not very easy, but it was important. And as I said, historical monument is something very important into our profession. It's still something we're doing quite a lot. I had a chance to do a lot of big projects, and especially on cathedrals, including Notre Dame of Paris, that disappeared totally almost 5 years and a half ago, because there was this fire on the cathedral, and I was in front of my TV, and I was crying, looking to the projectors melting, and being taken away by all the fire. But still, I think lighting monuments is something very important. I have seen yesterday there is a large monument into the city of Lviv. So we will see together during the workshop what we can do for this monument and what we can propose for it. And we work also with landscape architects. I would say sometimes we have a better dialogue with landscape architects because maybe the way they understand the space, the way they understand the emptiness of the space is something that makes us more closer. And they understand very well also the use of light and how light can highlight and value the work of landscape architects. So we do work on contemporary parks, like the one on the top left. It was a park that was created when Paris was candidate for the Olympic Games in 2012. So we realized this park, and we do also a lot of lighting for historical parks, trying again to keep this balance between light and darkness. And we launched what we call Nightscape, that is working on landscape at night, but on a very, very, very large scale. Because again, we can totally transform the landscape from daytime to nighttime, and we can propose a different vision. We can really propose something that is more maybe poetic or maybe something more appealing for people at nighttime. And this is very important in terms of tourism, because it's why we have been asked to work in China from the very beginning in 2008, because we wanted to create this nightscape to develop tourism at night. Because most of the time in some cities, people will go during daytime, especially there is easy ways to go there, like speed trains. So they will arrive in the morning, they will stay one day, look around the city, and you go back to another city to sleep in another city. So, you know, Chinese are about commercial proposal, commercial development. So they really wanted something different to offer to the visitors, so they could stay overnight, maybe 1, 2 nights, 3 nights in the city, and for that we created this kind of nightscape. And the one we did in China really were a big success, because we could multiply by 3 the number of visitors at night. They will come, stay at night, overnight, look to the landscape, go to a restaurant, and then go back to the hotel. So I think this is also one of the goals of Lighting Master Plan. It's not the only one, because we're going to work also a lot for people living in Lviv, not only for visitors and tourists, but you will see that light is also a very important attractor for tourism and for visitors. So it's also a big part of the methodology and the work we're going to do together. And to finish with, we work a lot on mobility, public transportation. I was very happy to discover the tramway lines here in Lviv, with this very old tramway. I really enjoy this old tramway. So compared to the one we had in France, this is the last one that was launched in France just 3 years ago. It's a very science fiction tramway with a lot of lighting, and including lighting on the tramway itself, and inside and outside. But I think we have a good chance to define something for these tramway lines and to work on the scale of the city with all this very beautiful trajectory of public transportation. And again, light is very important, because a lot of people are using the public transportation, and as you know, we want to value public transportation, especially when we are thinking of the carbon footprint, or when we are thinking of climate change, or we are thinking of how to reduce the quantity of cars into cities, and how we could value public transportation. So lighting on public transportation is something very important. When you make inquiries, a lot of people will ask for a more, I would say, quality light inside the shelters, inside the railway station, inside the bus station. So I think it's also a very important topic for us into this workshop. So we do, as I said at the beginning, a lot of lighting master plans. I will show tomorrow morning, I will explain this afternoon later on, this evening, what is exactly lighting master plan and what we expect from this kind of study. But briefly, I wanted to share some slides and show you also which kind of representation and graphics we can do for lighting master plan. And tomorrow morning, I will show you more examples of graphics and representation transportation. So I had the chance, as Nicola explained, to do the first lighting master plan for the city of Paris. It was for the Paris Crown. What we call Paris Crown is all the districts around the historical city center. And at that time, Paris was candidate for the Olympic Games 2012, but we lost because it was London that won the Olympic Games. And my friend and colleague Mark Major, that is one of the most famous lighting designers living in London, won the competition in London. So in this lighting master plan, you will see during all this workshop, we are working by layers. We could say sometimes it's easier to work layer by layer. One layer could be dedicated to infrastructure, one layer could be dedicated to landscape, one layer could be dedicated, as I said, public transportation, one layer could be dedicated to darkness, and so on and so on. So from these layers, we do build some ideas, some concepts, some recommendation, and then we try to make all that into guidelines. For sure, we don't do a lighting master plan in 4 days. So we will start to do this workshop, and hopefully we will end on Friday afternoon with a draft or sketch of the lighting master plan. Normally, a lighting master plan for a big city like Paris or São Paulo is 12 million people. It's between 1 year to 2 years work, not every single day, but with a team inside the lighting design studio. You will have to work between 1 year and 2 years according to the size of the city. So it's important to understand that lighting master plan is like any other urban planning. You need to discuss, to dialogue, to make consultation, to communicate to citizens, sometimes to do some choices, and then discuss with the politics and go back to the work and adjust and improve. So I think we won't have time to do that now because the workshop will be very short, but hopefully we will follow and we will detail more the lighting master plan after this workshop. So for Paris Crown, the main issue on this lighting master plan was how could we connect these districts that are, I would say, low-income social districts around the city historical center with the suburbs around. Paris is surrounded by 21 cities that have their own mayor and own way of leading the city. So this transition and connection between all these little cities and these suburbs of Paris with Paris itself was one of the very important things. So we create what we call these gates, and with these gates the idea was really to host people coming from outside or to attract Parisians to go outside and to go and visit the suburbs. So we did realize some project. Very often, I would say, unfortunately, lighting master plan doesn't arrive with realization, with project, but sometime, and it's fortunately enough, with a lighting master plan, it will be like a program to develop realization, to develop a lighting strategy for the public lighting, for luminous ambience, and so on. But sometimes the lighting master plan is just start, just a trigger, change a lot the perception of the people, especially the people, the people working for the city, but you don't all the time think. So when we do some project, realize some project after the lighting master plan, we are very happy about it. And as I said, we have been working in China, so tourism and night tourism was the main goal and main objective to do that. And in this case, this is one of it is the biggest project we've ever made. It was a 10-kilometer long project on a canal that is classified by UNESCO, so it's a very important heritage site. And we did the lighting master plan, and we realized the nightscape along 10 kilometers of banks with 70 historical buildings and more than 90 modern buildings. And we try to keep always, like we do when we work on this huge project, to keep two scales, one very close to the people, to the pedestrian, and one huge scale for the nightscape, for the skyline, for the large vision. So it's something also important when we talk with light, and you will see that tonight during the visit, to keep in mind these two scales. Very close scale for people with vision from someone, and very large scale for skyline and large landscape. And this is a lighting master plan in São Paulo, in Brazil. So it was very, very long study of 2 years because of the size of the city. And it was very important for us to propose new and innovative things. There is a very important link between São Paulo and Lviv, is the underground river. In São Paulo, the two main rivers that you can see here, we have a lake over. No, we don't have a lake. Okay. The two important rivers here were also with a lot of tributes, small rivers, and all of that were flowing inside the city. And as many cities in the world, they decided at the beginning of 20th century, 1920, to dig them up and to put them underground. It's why we proposed, you can see on the top right, to project as a video mapping the river would have been underground. So when I saw the opera yesterday and the beautiful public space in front of the opera, maybe we can think of reproposing the river into this amazing public space. And as Nicolas said, friendly, we did the lighting master plan of the old city of Jerusalem. So there was a competition we won a long time ago in 2010, and we finished it in 2012. So it was really very fantastic to work with this old city. We were for sure asked to work on the wall because the old city is totally closed by the wall. That is 4 kilometers long wall. And we try to express also this idea of balance between darkness and lighting, and we use the two valleys that are on both sides of the old city of Jerusalem, on the south side and the east side. We express with darkness what we call a dark belt, how we could enhance the lighting and how we could enhance the wall. So I will show you that also this evening or tomorrow. And I think it's important to understand also how we can play with these two tools of lighting and darkness. And I think that's it. Yeah, I'd like to share with you at the beginning a little history of urban lighting in France to understand how we reach this idea of light urbanism. And then I will go on talking about nocturnal urbanism, and I will finish with dark infrastructure. So this has been shown before, so I switch them on. Okay, so for sure this is a focus on France because it was easier for me. But I think we could do that in many countries, and to understand how this all starts about public lighting, or in fact private lighting. The oldest thing we could find in Paris was in the 13th century, as you can see here. There was this kind of Madonna, this saint that was put on the corner of the buildings, on the streets inside the historical center. And they were lit by people, rich people, with little candles. And in my opinion, this is one of the first grid of lighting for city, urban lighting. Even if it was a private action, it creates a grid, and it creates the feeling that the city were really, in a way, attractive and helpful for people. Then, very often the light was used by the poor, and it's still the case now in many places and cities. Again, in Paris, we can find the first light that was set up, especially at the castle, and that was lit all year long. The king of that period asked to be able to maintain this light all year long and all night long. And it was a very important signal for everyone coming to the city, because at that period most of the transportation were by boat, especially for
bringing all kind of elements into the city. So when the boats reached Paris, they could see this beautiful light, and we will know that we were reaching the capital, and also we will know that the king and the power was in a way showing what is important into the Paris. Nightscape. I think it's very important that we understand how light can really react with landscape and how we can create nightscape. And we have again this example in Paris in the 18th century when the queen used to ask for a promenade with a car with horses. She was going from city center to Versailles, to the castle of Versailles, and she was starting at sunset, and when she came back, she asked the people to stay on the side of the road and to put some lights so she would come back, because it's 2 kilometers long way, she would come back and see all this little light all the way and all along this beautiful night road. And it created a kind of nightscape, and again, it was a symbol of the power of the king and the queen. And then there was a crazy left of some engineers. You can have this example that was made in the United States. In many cities in the United States, this is an example in San Jose, but in Chicago it was also some experiments. So the idea was the beginning of arc lamp, and the idea for the engineers was to create this huge pole. Some of them were 50 meters high, and they thought that with that they could light all the city, all the streets, only with very, very few poles. For sure it was a total failure, because the streets were very narrow, the shadows were very strong, the contrasts were very strong as well. So they decided that that was not a solution. They tried to put as much as pole as possible, but it was at the end impossible to light the streets, and they took away all these poles and they dismissed them, and for sure there is none now that you can see. But it was also, I would say, an attempt of making a grid of pole of light, and it showed us a way, more or less, to how we could create urban lighting. If you remember the date of the creation of the first incandescent lamp by Thomas Edison, it was 1879. So at the same time, Thomas Edison thought that electrical source incandescent lamps could really start to illuminate the city and start to make also grid with incandescent lamps. And that led to what we know today, because we have urban lighting and grid everywhere into our cities. The very important things also into the history of urban lighting is everything related to event, to festival. So we do have this World Expo, this one are in Paris, but there was over in some other cities. And light, because it was what was called at that time the fairy electricity. Light was used as something amazing, something very creative, and during the World Expo there was a lot of realization of light and illuminated buildings to show the power of light and how light could be the technology of the future. So it helped also to define some temporary action and some temporary events to use light as something incredible, and we still have nowadays a lot of light festival. There is a very, very famous one, for sure, the one in Lyon, but there is also in Scandinavia, in China, there is some of them in Spain, in the United States, and a lot of light festivals are now very common and very familiar. Often they are during winter time, because as you know, the sun is down very early in winter time, sometime at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the northern countries. So this light festival are really pleased by people, and they are very well appreciated. And there is also another topic inside urban lighting, is everything related to private lighting or commercial lighting. This is again one of the first examples in Paris in 1910. So it was a building hosted by a newspaper called Le Matin, Morning, and that was the first attempt to illuminate a building as a commercial goal. That was for the owner of the building, the idea to promote the newspaper, the idea to show the building and to show also the importance of this newspaper and the power of this company. And again, nowadays, you can find that at the building here in Lviv. You can find buildings that are illuminated just for commercial purpose. So very often it is hotels, restaurants, bars, discotheques. We saw some of them yesterday walking through the historical center. But you have also, I'm sure there is some in Lviv as well, some headquarters of big companies that illuminate their building just to show off, as we say, just to show the power and the importance of the company. So inside night urbanizers or light urbanizers, this is something we need to deal with. It's sometimes very difficult to do regulation or to make any laws to control or to maintain in a way the commercial lighting, the private lighting, in order to combine them with the public lighting and with the lighting strategy of the city, but it's something very important. So I'm not sure we'll have time to do that during the workshop, but keep that in mind. But sometime you will do a very fantastic idea or very nice project of lighting, and just nearby you will have a crazy commercial lighting that will pollute totally what you have been doing. And very often, unfortunately, you can do nothing about it because if you don't have any prescription, regulation, or guideline, it's very, very difficult to fight against that. So it's very important. So all these were, in a way, the beginning of the reflection of nocturnal urbanism that I started in 1986, because I thought all these issues, like the large nightscape, like the grid and the infrastructure of urban lighting, the problem of commercial lighting, and also everything related to luminous ambience and atmosphere, could be something that we could develop and create it. So we didn't start from nothing about that. There was some attempt to do lighting master plan in France in 1964. There was a huge project of creating new cities around Paris, 5 of them in 1964, a very long time ago, and now they are being created, so Marne-la-Vallée, Cergy-Pontoise, and some others. So during this creation of new cities, starting from nothing, because it was just a field of potatoes, they started to make some master plan and urbanization. And there was some attempt to think of a lighting strategy at the same time of the creation of these new cities, and especially there was some experiment to do some lighting according to the type of circulation. So, for example, lighting only for pedestrians and lighting only for cars on a very, I would say, different approach. And in some cities, they start to make a grid of pedestrian routes that were totally separated of the route for cars, and the lighting was different. So that was something very interesting. I found quite a lot of information about that. And for me, it was really a first attempt at that time for the people to develop a kind of lighting strategy, but it stopped with the creation of this new city. We had a very important law in 1982, what we call the decentralization law, because before 1982, the public lighting was in the hand of the Minister of Interior, of the police. Everything related to lighting was under the decision of police and police ministry. And in 1982, that was the first law that allowed the cities, and especially the politics and the city mayor, to be the one responsible for the lighting. So I don't know in Ukraine, you might know better than me how it was, but in France, until 1982, all the decisions about lighting were never made by any mayor. It was only made by police people and by people about security and safety. And I think this was a very important day for us as lighting designer, because since 1982, decisions could be made by mayor and by politics, and some of them, we will see, decided to use the lighting as a very important tool to develop a beautiful city center or nightscape at night time. We had also the European construction that was very important, with even some fight and battle between some main city in Europe. And we had the chance, and for us as IT designer, this bicentennial of French Revolution in 1959, to celebrate the 2nd century anniversary of the French Revolution, was exactly what we expected. That means many cities wanted to create amazing lighting at night time. It could have been ephemeral or temporary, but some of them decided that the investment was so high that it would be better if it could be permanent. And for example, for my studio, that was the start of my studio because I created in 1987, but it was really difficult to get any demands. And at that time of the approach of the bicentennial of the French Revolution, we started to get some order and we started to get some demand from cities to create scenography and beautiful light event. And then, for sure, there was also a very important thing, is what we call the nightlife revolution. Again, if you think about this period, there was nothing going on at night. There was no thing, if you wanted to visit a museum, you could not go at night. If you wanted to see galleries, you could not go at night. It was same for commercial center. There was no any nocturnal possibility of visiting commercial center. There was only theater and movie theater, but nothing else. So slowly and slowly, there was an evolution of nightlife. People really had a lot of appetite to go out at night. And I think this also is a very important issue and maybe a very important condition of what we're doing. And if we do now lighting master plan, is because of this nightlife evolution. And I could say that it would be even more and more in the future. We could see as something that is, unfortunately, because, for example, if you think about the climate change and the global warming, night is going to be very important into the future. And we can see it already in many, many countries, including in some countries in Europe. For example, in Paris, last July, it was 41 degrees Celsius in my street during daytime and on the shadow of the building. So 41 degrees, you don't go out all day long, or you don't do any activities when it's 41 degrees. So a lot of people were waiting for night time to get out. And we can see that, unfortunately, with global warming, we can see that many, many countries are waiting until the night is coming up, and they will get out for activities, for work, for leisure, for a lot of things. And this will be more and more like that. So I think we can also see that as an opportunity, because if night is becoming important, if the nightlife is becoming more important, maybe we can do something for all these people getting out at night. Maybe we can create nice ambience, nice atmospheres, and we can really take care of them and help them also to live very well at night time. So again, as I said just before, night is a new territory that we need to explore, but we need also to understand and to study, because of this global warming. We really need to propose something at night time, and I think for lighting designers, it's a very important opportunity for the future of our profession. So, from all this, I would say, background, we thought that we could do something, and we tried to understand what was the lighting at that time. Lighting was really, really functional, because most of the lighting in this period was only made for the cars, only that the car driver could see something at night time. Nothing was never made for any other possibilities, like pedestrian or atmosphere or ambience. The lighting was focused mostly on city center and historical center, and nothing was done on the district around. The suburb, for example, of the big city in France was with very, very bad lighting for many, many decades. So we really thought when we started to think about what we could do for this issue, that there was a possibility of treating differently light and urban lighting. We could, instead of focusing on cars and car drivers, we could maybe think of something else, and we could also work on a very large scale, like we will do for this workshop here in Lviv. We could think of a very large scale about the night identity, about the night vision, and what we can do with lighting. So when you look at the city, when you make a diagnostic, you can really understand very quickly the big difference between daytime and nighttime. You can see that during daytime you have a lot of information coming to you, including information about the type of architecture, the material of architecture, the color of the city, the landscape, the topography. All this information are in a way natural, obvious, because you get the information right away, just looking at a panorama or at a landscape. But then when you switch to nighttime, if there is a very, I would say, basic or common lighting or bad lighting, it's almost impossible to understand all this information if you don't know them or if you have never been there during nighttime, during daytime. For example, if you look to the image on the right side, there is a cathedral that seems floating into the sky. You don't understand the relation with the topography. You don't understand neither the type of architecture or the history of the city. You don't understand the links and interaction between the rivers, the bridge, and the historical center. Many information are impossible to analyze or to understand. So, I would suggest, if you have the possibility in the future, to go to a city first at night time, a city that you don't know and you want to visit, instead of going like we always do by daytime, and we appreciate to discover the city and look to the panorama and so on. Then we wait until the night is on and we look at it at night time. So it's in this way our brain already memorizes all we get as information from the daytime. And during the nighttime, even if we don't see the same information, we still think that, oh yeah, I can recognize it. I remember there is a mountain, there is a castle there was a cathedral and so on. So I think it's important to develop this ability of analyzing the night image and the night landscape, but you do that the other way around. So we're going to make a little game together. What would you say about this city with a night image? Which kind of city is that? Do you have any idea if it's in north of Europe, south of Europe? Do you have any information coming from the night vision? What would you say? Where is that? Which kind of architecture? Which kind of material?
We have green space.
Good, green space. And what about this big black thing here? It's water, because you have reflection. So if you have a light detective, you can already understand some things because of the reflection. You can think that if there is reflection, it's not a mirror because it's huge, so it should be water. And you can also think that this bridge is quite modern and new because of the type of bridge. And this bridge there is old because the arch was made with a stone. So if you are really, I would say, clever, you can start to understand things. You can also understand, for example, that you have big streets here, banks. Here is offices, because it's really regular lighting. There's nothing as random or like residential lighting. You have big spots like that. You have also, as you said, some greeneries. And what about this? Is it a plane coming up from the sky, or what's that? What would you say?
Industrial zone.
Oh, what?
Industrial zone.
No.
The moon?
Ah, could be the moon, but it's not.
Maybe it is a clock.
Oh, what?
Maybe it is a clock tower.
Ah, not bad. And what would be the city? Have you any idea? I can offer a coffee if you find the city. Well, it's impossible to find the city anyway. I never offer any coffee, so. So here it is, same angle, same vision. So it's a Belgian city. So this little church up there was lit, and that was the moon, as you say. And we lost everything considering the topography, the hills and everything. You can see the river, you can see the greenery, you can see the office building here, residential area, all the streets and banks. But well, now you can rediscover or you can imagine how it was during daytime. But as we noticed, it's impossible to find it out. So I think this exercise, as a lighting designer, especially if you want to work on light urbanizers and night urbanizers, is something you need to do and something you need to experiment. So again, I encourage you to do that and to visit some cities first at night time and then trying to understand how the city is done. So we could do that again with the second game. So this kind of city again. Where is that? What would you say about the location, the geography, the topography? What is all that, for example, all this here?
Ocean by the sea.
Ocean, with island and archipelago and things like that? What would you think? Yeah? Is it a coast? All right. It's not at all. It's Grenoble. It's a very flat city in the Alps mountain. So the lighting just stopped because of the mountain. That's about it. So when you look at that, you think, yeah, it might be a coast, but it's not. And then you can recognize the main axes and so on. So well, I could do that forever. I think it's very important that you understand that the way we look at nighttime to a huge landscape, to a city, is something totally different from daytime, and this will be very important into our workshop during the upcoming days. Okay, so when we look to a city, we have a lot of information coming from the public lighting, because there is a lot of luminous points into any landscape on far vision. Very often, I don't know here's the ratio in Lviv, but in the French cities, there is one luminous point. I took some old lighting master plan, so you could compare to new lighting master plan. So this one is quite an old one already. It's 20 years ago, and it was a competition. Because we started lighting master plan in France, as I said, a long time ago, in 1987. There is very often now, including recently, a lot of competition to study lighting master plan. And in this competition, you make, depending of the level of the competition, but it could be only on reference and for sure a prize for the study, but it could be also about ideas and what you think and intention. So this was a competition and we won it in 2003. And then we studied the lighting master plan. It took us almost 1 year and a half because Toulouse is 500,000 people living in the city. Toulouse is in the southwest of France, very beautiful city. And from the lighting master plan that was approved by the municipality, we realized a lot of illumination about monuments, a cultural center, and public spaces as well. Look at the maps because that might be helpful for you to make your own work later on. Maybe you should look here because the screen is terrible. So yeah, we're losing everything on the screen. So look to this screen, it's much better. So for example, on this kind of map, for sure we make the routes, the main routes, with color temperature. And we do also what we call polarities or centralities. That is the inner part of the different districts. So we see these white dots. And this is the historical center, city center. We have a huge river going through Toulouse, the Garonne River, coming from the mountains, the Pyrenees. And then it's important you will see very often on the map this kind of polarities. It's a center place where people are living into the district, where maybe there will be shops or commercial mall or maybe cultural center or church or school, things like that. So we try always to take care of these nocturnal uses and activities, and we put them on the map. So the map is a result of decision, proposition, concept, and then for sure
in a study like that, we will do a lot of dialogue with the politics, with the people living in the place, and we will modify the map. Sometimes we will change things because some mayor or some politics will say, no, I don't want this, I don't want that. So for sure in this workshop we won't have this dialogue, but you need to think that a lighting master plan is not a concept that you can impose. It's really a discussion, a debate, a dialogue, because it's a tool for the strategy of the city. Okay, so then in this lighting master plan, we propose to enhance all or most of the heritage buildings, and to make it more convenient, we design some night routes that you can see here. There you see nothing, but here you can see it. And as I said yesterday, I will give you the PDF, so you can get it after the workshop or during the workshop even. So you can have a look more closely and peacefully and calmly. So we propose to make some night routes because first it was good for a tourist purpose, and second it was interesting to connect the heritage lighting all together, so people, including citizens, but also for sure visitors, they could really go on the night route and discover the building and go from one to the other, and sometimes also you can get information. Yeah, thank you very much. It's a little bit better, but still, you don't see nothing there. So. And yeah, you can get information, you can get even daytime information about the history of the building and so on and so on. And this is a type of rendering we were doing at that time, using Photoshop, because it was almost the beginning of Photoshop, so we started to use Photoshop and make some supposedly nice rendering. So it's very important to make renderings, first to convince authorities about your project and about what you propose, but also to share with the citizen to show what would be the result. Then we did some realization after the lighting master plan was approved in 3 years, 2003, 4 and 5, and you have here some examples. So we made a program of actions with a lot of proposal, and then the politics, they decided, they select the sites that they wanted to realize. Some of them were, this one was a huge cultural center and library. There was this bridge that was not lit at all, and also this park near the Garonne River. And also we had some very important heritage building, like the one here. It's a used Basilica, Saint-Sernin. This was a museum, and this was a public space. So we combined public space realization and building modern, contemporary, and old one and historical one as well. Some others we also proposed to do like this kind of little church. They were in some of the districts around the city center. We really tried in each lighting master plan to not focus only on the historical center and city center, but to propose things and to propose ideas and concepts on the districts around, so you can really try to balance the city center attraction. And you can also propose to people living in diverse districts, like some of the districts we visited yesterday, also some illumination and realization. So then I wanted to show you this lighting master plan that is more recent. It's only 14, 15 years ago. And as I said very quickly yesterday, that was the second generation of a lighting master plan. There was a lighting master plan, I think it was 98, something like that, 1998, from another company. And in 2011, the city authorities wanted us to regenerate, to transform it. First, because there was a high level of LED source, and before all the realization was without LED, all with classical source and lamps. So they asked us to renew totally some of the realization and to use LEDs everywhere. And also, in the first IT master plan, there was 90 illuminated buildings, a lot of them, but half of it did not work anymore. So this is also something we need to learn. They put a lot of money to realize a lot of illumination, and after 10 years, half of it didn't work anymore. So we proposed to cut a lot of this existing illumination and to do only around 40 to 45 renovation, and all the others to put them down and shut them off. So that was accepted by the municipality, and so now you have half of the illumination in the city. So again, we try to get some coherency, making two main axes, and some of all the stars you can see is illumination, the new strategy of illumination. Most of them were existing, but also we had some new ones, and the new ones were more or less installed on two axes. That was the main access into the city center. And the history of the city is related to mining, to coal mining. So this is one of example of the tower that were used to get down very deep into the ground and to reach to the coal and to mine the coal. So it's why it was very important also to highlight this history. For sure there is no more, I don't know if you still have coal mining in Ukraine? No, maybe not. Do you?
We do, but not in a big amount.
Okay, so we don't have any more in France. There was a huge amount of mine of coal in France, in the north and east, but it's finished since almost 15 years. So we don't do mining anymore. So it was important for all the people, especially the old people living there, to highlight what they have been doing in the past, and they were very proud and happy to see that we could really enhance the tradition of mining. So again, some renderings. We try also to propose, and it's interesting to see the evolution of lighting master plan, because, for example, as you can see, in 2011, we proposed to highlight the trees and to light them from downlight. And just to let you know, now, since 2019, it's totally forbidden in France to light the trees. We had a new law and regulation end of 2018, in December 2018, and with this new law and regulation about light pollution and biodiversity, it's totally forbidden to light the trees. So this kind of proposal that was fine in 2011 would not be possible now, and we don't propose anymore any tree lighting into our lighting master plan since 2019. So it's interesting also to see the evolution of, for sure, concept and design, but also evolution of laws, regulation, and evolution of political decision. So, as I said at that time, we really enjoyed that. We did not realize it. That was one of the actions that was not realized, but for us it was important to treat all the rings, the belt, with illumination of trees. So then, as I said, we proposed two main axes. One was going from east to west, and one from north to south, like Cardo and Documentus, you know, the main Roman axis. Many cities in Europe. Many cities in Europe are with this history of crossing axes. Cardo, north to south, and Decimanus, east to west. For the urban planner, I'm sure you're familiar with Roman axis and historical axis. So, what you can see on the map, this is also a way of representing the project. The yellow dots are the buildings that are illuminated, and you can see the axe, and you will see how we wanted to highlight the axe. So that was the second axis, the one going from north to south. after the one going from east to west. And again, we propose a lot of action all along this one. This one was more commercial acts. The other one was more cultural or artistic. This one was more related to commercial area and shops and so on. And you will see how we propose to highlight it. So first we wanted to signal, hello Nicola, good morning. Are you okay? So we propose to signal the entrance of each axe with this kind of design and lighting. And we realized it, as you can see on the picture. So sometimes you get a lot of light coming from all around, private shops and so on, facade. But you can still see the signal for the entrance of the axe. So it was important to signal this axe, for sure for citizens, but also for visitors. And what we did on these two main axes is projection of images that you can see here, but you should look at it here, it's much nicer, because there again, we don't see many, but at least here you can see. So what we proposed from the very beginning, they have a museum of fine art into this little town. This town is only 100,000 people living, it's not a huge town. And we have a very nice little fine art museum with painting, sculpture and so on. So we made a deal with the museum so we could use pictures of their art pieces, like old paintings, sculpture and so on. And then we could project these art pieces on the facade. So the idea was first to share this knowledge and art pieces with the people living there, because no one was almost going to the museum anymore. And also it was a kind of decoration and with projection and what is called very often video mapping or photo mapping. It's very easy to do, so that was a good way to highlight the axe and to make it animated and to show to the people all these art pieces that for some of them they will totally discover. So it was really nice to have the help of the Fine Art Museum, and so we could really do that. So we also proposed to light some public spaces to enhance them, to create a nice, almost interior atmosphere. We call that lounge lighting, to make people think about a lounge or about interior design. And we propose sometime also to use water projection, because again there was a river there, and this river was not visible anymore. It was an underground river, so we also proposed to do it. But this was not possible to realize, so we realized everything else. We renew the lighting of the building with LEDs, and we install these pedestrian poles to create this lounge atmosphere. Another view on the second axis, more dedicated to culture and art works. And again, we renew. So this kind of illumination was a renovation of existing illumination. We didn't make a new concept, we just kept all the existing fixtures, but we changed them to LEDs. Sometimes we needed to adapt the fixture with LEDs, sometimes we needed to change the fixture with LED fixture, but there was no new concept about it. The idea was really to renovate totally, and for sure to lower the energy consumption, to lower the cost of each illumination with the use of LED. And we created, we made a workshop during 6 months with students from the Fine Art School of this city. And it was really interesting workshop. So they worked with us, they selected the art piece into the museum, they select the image we should show and project on the facade. They sometimes also redesign some of the image, and they propose to create a new lantern totally new and totally special. And we realized it, and it was made with glass, blown glass. It's a huge lantern, it's 1 meter high. And we realized it locally with local handcraft, that is a glass blower. And we could realize them with the students and develop the design with the students. So it was a lot of fun to go all the way through the project and to be able to realize what the students proposed. So they are still working very well after 15 years, and they are very nice. They are not there for functional purpose, but just for decoration. It's LEDs inside, and it's blue glass, but they are very nice and not any vandalism so far. Here it is. So it was designed by the students of the fine art school. For sure, we help them and advise them and follow them, but we let them totally free of designing this nice lantern, inspired by Venetian blown glass lanterns, and as you can see, we realize it. So, think that this is 1 meter high, so it's a huge height for a kind of lantern, but after, when you put it in suspension, 10 meters high, it is. So, we selected all the new architectural building with very contemporary design from architect. So you have all these dots there. We select them mostly on the surrounding district, and we propose to highlight them instead of doing any historical. So one example, this is a school that was realized in the 13th district. So what was the existing lighting to host the boys and girls in the morning, and the parents when they come with their children, and that was the realization. So the project was always to do very kind of short lighting, almost like a paint, you know, brush paint, with few fixtures, because we wanted a very low budget, we wanted a very low energy consumption, but we wanted to use some colors and to make it as attractive as possible with some goggles. So this is Thomas Mann, because the name of the school is Thomas Mann School. So we project the portrait of Thomas Mann for the students. So that was one of the first realization, and it was really well accepted by the school boy and girls, and we were very happy about the result. And then we started to make around 5 to 10 buildings every year. So as you can see, this was kindergarten, this was a cultural center, this was also cultural center. So it was always the same idea, very few fixtures, very few projectors, very low budget and very low energy consumption. That was another school we realized, and this one was also a kindergarten that we also enhanced with this kind of approach. It was called Carte Lumière, that means light map, and it was also published on the website of the city of Paris, and so we could get the reaction of Parisian, and most of them were really nice. And we also, when we could, we work with the kids to create, they make drawings with their teachers, and we use their drawings to project them onto the facade. So they were very happy and proud to discover their own drawings projected on the facade. We also use their drawings to integrate them into the lighting fixtures and to use them as filters. So they were also very pleased to see their drawings into the lighting fixtures. So we made this kind of workshop with the kids. This is a kindergarten, so the boys and girls were 5, 6 years old, 7 years old. But they made very nice drawings, and we could use them. And also, sometimes we made some colorful realization. This is a swimming pool that is open until 10 p.m. 2 or 3 times by week. So here you have more or less what have been done in the last 10 years. We have been doing almost 37 realizations. Yeah. And you have some examples of the result, and you have the map now. So as you can see, we focus on the outdoor district, all the districts around city center. And as you can see, we use a lot of projections, and we did public space, we did architectural lighting, and with this color code that we could use depending of which kind of building we had. So that was really a very interesting project, and you can see the result. So when you have existing situation, you will spend 4 kilowatt for each illumination. That's quite a lot for a little building. And you will like that 2,000 hours annually. That means at midnight we will stop the lighting. So the total consumption per year will be 8 megawatt. So with the new proposal, the new lighting strategy, maximum is 800 watt. That's not much. It's very, very low wattage for this new architectural lighting. We liked the school and all these cultural center or sport facilities only when there is people inside. That means if the school is closing at 8, maybe they have a meeting with the parents, but then they close at 8 during winter, so we stop the lighting when everyone is gone. So we spend only $600 annually, and that was the total consumption. So you see, we win a lot of energy consumption, and that was one of the main goals. So, to go on, water network, to focus, so I'm going back to Lille. I explained to you that we did this commercial area, but we also proposed to enhance and highlight the huge river network of Lille that you can see here, but is not visible anymore. But because of this fortress here, made by Vauban, there was a huge river network and canal that was existing in the city of Lille. So we proposed to show it or to symbolize it with lighting, and we made a very detailed analysis where this river were flowing. So if you go to Lille, you cannot see any of these rivers. They are underground, like in Lviv. And this is a kind of street where the river are being digged underground. So the idea was really, with projection, with acoustic effects, like Mikola explained yesterday, what we can do to show the river underground, or at least to symbolize the river underground, and to make people think and remember, for some of them, the oldest one, that the river was flowing into the city of Lille. So we carefully designed all the project to show this underground river and to make a projection out of it. And also on the main public space, like remind me the public space in front of the opera here in Lviv, where there was the river, the Polpa River was flowing underground with public space and under the opera as well. Here is the same situation, we have this huge public space that is only realized with flow. And that was a river valley, how it was in the past time. So again, we proposed to make a video mapping to show the river flow and to symbolize the river how it was in the past. So that was not realized, unfortunately. We cannot realize everything we proposed, but at least we had this proposal, and it's still there, and if the city of Lille want to do something one day, we will have the project to install. So, to finish this lecture, as I said, wanted to share very quickly some maps and graphic representation, and as I said, you will get the PPT and PDF, so you will have time to look it up carefully. Very often we start a lighting master plan with what we call a concept map, that is almost an overall idea of what could be the lighting master plan. And we try to put a lot of ideas into this concept map, sometimes on a 3D realization, sometimes using different layers, and really the most important thing is to be legible, feasible, and to be attractive enough to show that, for example, to a mayor, and to explain to the mayor what could be the result of the lighting master plan. So these concepts now are very important. We try to be as creative as possible on the graphic, to do renderings. We don't want to make it realistic. We could sometimes, for example, use kind of textures to represent the grid and so on. And also, as I said in São Paulo, this is São Paulo, there was some ghost river, so we show also how the ghost river could be symbolized and enhanced. So this kind of map, I don't know if we will have time to do that for Lviv, but it would be good to do it. This kind of map is very important because it's a communication map, and then we use it even on media and networks and social medias to show that there is a new lighting strategy for the city. So another kind of map, I don't know if you know this city or if you can recognize it. It's very famous worldwide. No? Monaco, Principality of Monaco, where we have a prince and a princess. So we did the lighting master plan of Monaco. So you have here the castle where live the prince and the princess. And the topography is just amazing on the Monaco city. It's a very small city, but you can see how topography is important. So we did again this representation of concept map to explain how we could see at night the city of Monaco with use of building lighting on the topography and play with the coast and the relationship between the harbor, the sea and the land and so on and so on. Well, I'm not going to explain every single lighting master plan. Dark infrastructure, as I said yesterday, I hope you understood the methodology of dark infrastructure. We will have time today to talk about it if you need. Meanwhile, you're doing your on-site location maps. So most of the time we do them in black and white. So for the group in charge of darkness, dark and white maps is very easy to do, and it's sometimes more easy to understand. So dark for sure represents darkness, and you can really be as dark as possible when you want to symbolize a lot of darkness. And then white will be the place where you have lighting, and you have all the range between total black and total white to show and to express what you want to do as dark infrastructure. So this is the dark infrastructure of the city of Lille. This is a green infrastructure, and this is the dark infrastructure of the city of Lille. And as you can see, in some of the intention, railway, for example, is part of the dark corridor. Then you have also this kind of map to show where you want to highlight things and when you want to keep in darkness. So this one is not black and white, but it could also be used to explain things. And also you can show on this kind of map the different temporalities. So that would be the map, for example, at 8 p.m. in winter time, and that would be the map maybe at 11 p.m. or midnight. And you could even make a map when you put off all the lighting. So another map, this is the map of city of Verona in Italy. So we did the lighting master plan of the city of Verona. You have all the wall around and a huge river going through Verona. And this kind of map also you can explain the green infrastructure and then the dark infrastructure. And this is another example of dark infrastructure. I'm sure you cannot recognize the city, but let's see if you can recognize the city. No? You are not very fond of maps. If you look here, what would you recognize here? I showed it yesterday. Alright, everyone is sleeping. This is the old city of Jerusalem. And this is the modern city of Jerusalem with all the colonies into Palestinian territories. So this is really the expression of the situation in Israel with all the colony developing and taking away the countryside of Palestinians. So we did a lighting master plan for the city, the old city, but we did also a lighting master plan for the modern city. And that was the dark infrastructure that we proposed, keeping in darkness, so everything that is dark and black is what we propose to totally keep in darkness. You see the contrast picture on the screen here. And what is white is supposed to be urban lighting and public space lighting and sometimes also park lighting. So that was a very difficult lighting master plan to achieve because of the political situation, and we were in the middle of a political decision, so it was really tough. But we tried to do our best and to preserve as much as possible everyone into this surrounding of the city. Okay, water system. So again, you can use this kind of representation. computer rendering. You can also express what you want to express with the lighting, and it's very important to make them as much as attractive as possible. So you have the existing river right there, São Paulo, and all this was, as I say, past river that are not existing anymore, but are being digged underground. Other kind of rendering for rivers, existing river or deep underground river. Again, Lille, as I shown before. We really enjoy to use colors into our rendering, so be free and open to use colors. You don't have to put map in gray or dark and white all the time. You can really find a code of color, and depending of each layer, change the color code. For example, a color for the parks and greens, a color for the building and architecture, color for public spaces, color for pedestrian ambiances, and so on. So sometimes it's easier with colors to make the maps easy to read. For landscape, for example, so this is again Paris Crown, so we propose to highlight what is called the green belt of Paris. This is existing green belt. All these little parts are existing, but there was not at all highlight at night time, so we propose to focus on the green belt and to highlight all the facilities for people at night time. This is again São Paulo. We propose also to highlight all the greens and the plantation along the main avenue. This is again Monaco. We highlight also the landscape and plan and all parks in Monaco. We have very, very few parks, unfortunately for them. And another image of what could be done to show and to highlight the landscape and also the river system. So again, this is old city of Jerusalem. This is also the two valleys, as I explained yesterday, but the river are not existing anymore, they are underground. So we propose to highlight them with luminous dots to show them and to highlight also the system of parks all around the old city of Jerusalem. Another example of a map with landscape proposal. This is Lille with some of the historical gates of Lille. And as I say, what we could show for the Ghost River. Another one, Verona, okay, and then heritage lighting. This kind of map we do to select which kind of building, like the group yesterday, we had very beautiful numbers and letters, but maybe you can be a little bit more creative and try to find 3D representation of each building on the internet and put them on a map. It would be maybe more attractive than just having A, B, C, D, and so on. It's not a critic, it's just an advice. And yeah, because again, when you show that to a mayor, it's much nicer to show a map like that instead of showing a map with letters and numbers. So I hope that you can be more creative and make some artistic maps. Another kind of maps with buildings as well. So this is a selection of the building we want to highlight. It could be historical, it could be modern. And also in this kind of map, you can understand the topography, you can understand the focal points, you can understand the perspective, or what you will see from one point to the other. So it's a map with a lot of information. You can also have this kind of map with 3D representation as well. And in internet you can find a lot of information about the buildings in 3D. And then nightlife, nocturnal activity. Very often this is a layer we try to propose. So how we could highlight and enhance nocturnal activities, like where people are going at night, as I say, like bar, restaurant, discotheque, cultural center, movie theater, and so on and so on. So then this kind of map explain where, at what time people are getting and what we could do. Another kind of map for nocturnal activities with these polarities I explained before. So each district has its own polarities, and what we want is to make connection and links between the polarities. Another one that shows also these polarities, and all the white things here is metro line. So this is the city of Rennes. and we have 2 lines of metro, one existing and one under construction. So each little dots here is a metro station. And then this is the polarities we really want to focus and to enhance. So this is also what we've been doing yesterday as a visit of the location outskirts. So we found some places, very nice public spaces yesterday in our site, where we could do maybe some proposal and concept to enhance it. And on the scale of the city map, it's important to show that. And to finalize, sometimes we do zoom of lighting master plan. We focus on some specific area, like this is a park I showed you very quickly yesterday. So we make a zoom of the lighting master plan. This is not the city scale anymore, but it's a zoom that takes into account what we have been doing on the city scale. Again, this is a zoom. This is the city of Hanoi in Vietnam. And we did a lighting master plan for all the city center, and then we focus on this historical lake, and we made this zoom of the lighting master plan on the historical lake. And so you have different options to show it. So this is more, I would say, graphic, and that explains what we propose as lighting, with the building lighting, with the tree lighting, with the pedestrian lighting, historical building, but you can also do it with satellite vision, but express maybe more the textures, the existing situation in terms of colors and material and so on, and you can project your lighting master plan on the satellite vision. So it's easy also to get satellite vision and aerial view on internet of many places in the world, and you can work on that. And to finish with night cut section, as I said, it's important to show first which kind of fixture or furniture you're going to choose, especially if you want to design new ones or taking them into catalogs. And then you install a range of furniture. This one was for Hanoi again. We designed some of them and some others were existing into catalogs. So you can show the range of furniture you're going to propose to the politics and to the technician of the city. And then you can install them on night cut section to show how the repartition and the typology of lighting will work according to street lighting for big street, then pedestrian lighting, and then keeping darkness nearby the lake, for example. And this night cut section are for both seasons. This is the winter season, and this is the summer season. So you can make also night cut section depending on the temporalities. One night cut section for winter time, one night cut section for summertime. So don't be surprised that there is trees and leaves on winter time because we are in a tropical area. There is no winter like here in Europe without any leaves on the trees. So it's important to also show the reality. But you can do cut section here in Lviv with winter time without any leaves on the trees, and with summertime with very beautiful trees and leaves on the trees. Over night cut section to express also the project in many different places. And to finish, night computer rendering. So this, I don't know if you are skilled enough to do computer rendering. I would love, but you can make some computer rendering of your proposition during the workshop with Photoshop and make text on places, maybe some specific spaces you like or you want to highlight, and you could do it with Photoshop. So here again, we have 2 seasons. This is still Hanoi. So we have the summer season and the winter season. So we do the same computer rendering depending on the season to highlight the project and to show it to the politics. And other type of computer rendering with highlight of the trees, with projection on the ground, with specific luminaires, and so on. So if you have the capacity of using Photoshop and making a computer rendering, it would be great for this workshop to do some and to help us to understand your ideas and proposals. And I think I am finished. Thank you.
For sure, we had already safety, we had energy saving, but not really when we started. Energy saving was hitting a big issue around the 1995 because of the crisis about energy. And we had a lot of orders and decrees. We had new laws, new regulation in Europe. We had norms. The norms in Europe appeared in 2005. The European norms for lux level and for taking care of luminance and illuminance on the street.
They started in 2005. They were discussed starting 2002 more or less, but it took 3 years until all the countries get to an approval, and but the norms could be published in 2005. So when I started, because I started in 87, there was no norms. It was a kind of paradise, no noise. So you could really do whatever you wanted, even in terms of lux level or whatever. No one would say anything because there was no norms and no regulation. But then, after 2005, we need to change the way we design, and we need to apply the norms because it's an obligation, and it changed totally. And well, they are reviewing the norms because, as I said, cars will have less importance, and pedestrian, bicycle path will have more and more importance in the future. Okay, so what are nowadays the contemporary challenge of urban lighting, considering all of that? We have what we call a societal challenge, because there is a lot of evolution in the nightlife. We talked about that the days before. So many places in the world, many cities in the world, the people will live at night more and more to do all kind of activities. So you have an example here. This is Japan, this is Tokyo. Here it's Istanbul in Turkey, and this is Tehran in Iran. So you can see that you can go at night for shopping, all kind of shopping, not only marketplace. The bazaar is open very late in Tehran. Well, not right now for sure, but it was open very late in the night. And you must know that in Japan, but in China as well, a lot of things are open at night, restaurants, but not only. You can go to gallery, to museum, to movie theater. So this makes a big challenge for lighting design, especially for urban lighting. So as I said 2 days ago, night will take a huge importance more and more in the future, because first of the global warming, night will be fresher. So we will wait for night to get out and to do activities, including some work. So lighting will become more and more important. It's why maybe we could be optimistic when we are young lighting designer, because they will need us to do some lighting for the cities and to, in a way, highlight the night activities, whatever they are, if they are for leisure, for work, or for safety, or for all kind of night activities. We have also a social challenge, because when you go into some cities, you can see the big difference in some districts, like very often in the outskirts, compared to the lighting, the urban lighting you will find into the city center. And some places in some cities are really poor in terms of lighting, in terms of ambience. So again, when we work on a lighting strategy for a city, we really need to take care of all kind of districts, all kind of places, trying to not focus only on historical place, historical center, city center, but trying also to take into account the outskirts, low-income districts, and to try to create some good lighting and really interesting lighting, even for this kind of district, and not only highlight and enhance the historical place and historical monuments. Because we don't do urban lighting only for visitor and tourists, we do it also for the people, for the citizen. So we really need to improve their lighting and to give to them as much as possible a very good quality of light. We have also an energy challenge, and right now it's a huge issue, as you have seen, because of the war in Iran and all the problem we have with petrol and gas. So energy challenge is also a good way of evaluating, because this constraint makes lighting design even more important, and lighting design should be more clever to challenge the energy consumption. So you have two examples here to show how it was and how it's still here in Shanghai. If you go to Shanghai, you will still see the skyline like that. So there is a huge amount of lighting, and for sure a huge amount of energy consumption. And same about
Times Square. This is one of the places in the world where the energy consumption per square meter is the highest in the world. So it is a very, very specific place, and it's like that all night long, all year long, all the time. So we do face this energy challenge, and we do need also to bring some answer and some design according to that. Another challenge is a technological challenge. Especially for the very young lighting designer, you will know only LEDs. You will never heard about any other type of source. For all the lighting designer like I am, I used to have a huge range of source when I was designing at the beginning. I had a high pressure sodium, metal halide with keramic burner, white sodium, fluorescent lamp, all kind of lamp. For you now, this is really exotic. But for me, when I started, there was a huge range of lamps with different colors, different capacity, different possibilities, and we could really design with a lot of possibilities. Nowadays, what we call the LED revolution, that started more or less in Europe in 2008, 2010, more or less, for, I would say, good LEDs to be used in urban lighting. We started first on architectural lighting with LEDs, and we made a lot of new illumination with LEDs around 2007, 2008, 2009. But for urban lighting and for a good efficiency, we had to wait until 2010. But if you were going to China, they start much before us, because 99% of LEDs are produced in China. 1% in South Korea, so Asia was really the leader and the pioneer into LEDs. And LEDs change a lot our way of designing again, because first it's very, very tiny source, so you can make small projectors, small fixture. The source is not hot like it used to be for high pressure sodium. High pressure sodium projector, when it's 150 watt, you could not put the hand on it, you will get burned. So if you put a ground recess fixture, and again with old and classical lamp, it would be very hot and you could not put your hand on it. So with LEDs, you can really put your hand on any projector, any fixture, there is no lot of heat. And this is very convenient, including for design, because you don't need to refresh the air around or inside the fixture. So this opens a huge range of possibility for designers to design new fixtures, new luminaires, new projectors. And also the efficiency of LEDs, revolution totally our profession, because the efficiency that we call efficiency is the quantity of lumen per watt. So lumen is the unity and the quantity of light. You calculate the quantity of light of any source in lumen, and you calculate the efficiency in lumen per watt to understand how much light you will have depending on the energy consumption. So that was really a revolution. At the beginning, it was not that good. We had, for example, 70 lumen per watt, 80 lumen per watt. To compare, incandescent lamp, the one you can use on your desk when you were using a small incandescent bulb, it was 15 lumen per watt. So at the very beginning, LED was already 80 lumen per watt, so 5-6 times of incandescent lamp. And high pressure sodium at that time was around 120 lumen per watt. So for quite some years, it was more useful to still take high pressure sodium, orange lamp, to do some lighting, especially urban lighting, because it was really good for low energy consumption. But nowadays, LEDs are 150 lumen per watt, the best one, and even some of them are 170 lumen per watt, 180 lumen per watt. So they beat all other sources. It's why all the other sources are disappearing, and you won't get them anymore, including in Europe. Some lamps, for example, what we call mercury vapor lamp, they were already forbidden in 2016 by the European Community,
And all the over discharge lamp will be forbidden starting in 2028. So in 2028 you will not be able to buy a solder lamp or a metal halide lamp because they will not be manufactured anymore. So at least for you, young lighting designer, LED will be the basis. You will have to deal with LED and you will not have any other sources. I think at least for next 10 years minimum. Maybe new technology will appear, but at least for the next 10 years you will have to deal with LED. And as we have seen in the lectures before, you have a lot of choice of spectrum. You can, the good thing about LEDs is about colored light, because before, when you had a classical lamp or a discharge lamp, the only way to get color was to put a filter in front of the lamp. For example, you had a white lamp, you wanted to have a blue light, so you needed to put a blue filter in front of the white lamp. So then you will lose a lot of flux. Because some blue colors, for example, blue filters, you will lose 80% of the light. Some others, maybe 50, 55 if you have a light blue. So the only way to get color at that time was to use filters and to lose a lot of light. The good thing about LEDs is that you produce colored light and with a very good efficiency. So you can get all kinds of colors. It's why with LEDs you can get all kinds of colors. So there is what we call RGB, red, green, blue. That means with 3 colors you can already produce many different colors, like red and green and you will get yellow color, blue and red you will get magenta color, and blue and green you will get cyan color or blue-green color. And then you can even get other kind of tune of colors with LEDs. So LEDs was also for that a revolution. Not only for architectural lighting, because a lot of I would say lighting designers are nowadays using colored light in public space to transform the public space for pedestrians. We are even making experiments in some places of colored light for street lighting. And as I showed you before, we can also use this colored light according to biodiversity, according to protection of some animal species, and according also to not harm as much as possible a lot of animal species. Okay, to finish with challenges, we have an environmental challenge. We talked a lot about that already in the first days. We have all this issue of light pollution, of halo. You can see you are in the middle of nowhere in the countryside. This is the headlight of the car. You are in the middle of nowhere and suddenly you have a huge halo, and that means that the city is coming up in the road. So we have this environmental challenge, both for the protection and preservation of dark sky and the capacity to see the stars, and for the protection of biodiversity and the capacity to protect animal species and in some way fauna and flora. So we have a lot of new approach and new trends in many countries in the world, but I took example in France to show you what we're doing, and it's written in French, so you will learn a little bit of French. So what's going on? Many cities, since almost 10 years, start to shut off the light. So it started by shutting off the light from midnight to 5 in the morning, for example, after for sure discussing with the people, the citizens. But now we have many cities in France, 40% of the cities, especially the small one, they totally shut off the light during beginning of May until mid-October. They don't put the light on at all. Not only for energy consumption, but also for preservation of biodiversity and to rediscover the darkness. So you can see here some cities will decide to not put light from 11 p.m. to 6 in the morning, some other from 10 p.m. to 5 in the morning, some other from midnight to 5. So all kind of different temporalities. Some cities will make information, they will ask the citizen what they prefer, and then you can go in some cities. So if you go to Europe, or
especially to France, because not many countries are putting off the light. Some in Germany are starting to do so, but in Spain and Italy it's not really the trend. But I encourage you to go to France, first because it's a beautiful country, and secondly because it's a very interesting experience to go at night in a city where there is no lighting at all. And if it's a small city, they will not have a lot of shops with shop advertisement, with shop facade, with a lot of light. So it will be an amazing experience to go in a city at night time without any lighting. And then it's very important to experiment it because, as I said 2 days ago, we are very special. Each one of us is very different according to the darkness. Some people are really afraid of darkness, including if they are in a very dense urban space. Some others love darkness and they are really, they don't like at all to be, to get any brightness, to get any glare. So it's important to experiment it, really. So in this kind of cities, you will see people with smartphones trying to find a way and where is the pavement and where is the stairways, and some others will love to be without any lighting. So this is a big, big evolution, and I think we will face this evolution in many, many countries in the future because all the challenges I just talked about, like the energy consumption, like the environmental challenge, and so on and so on and so on. So I thought it was interesting to express that. Another thing that is this is in Switzerland, in Geneva. They try to educate people about darkness and to show to people what it would be if there was no lighting. So they have a special night. It's called, it's called Night is Beautiful. Normally it's around September 20, something like that. So it's not winter time already. And the idea, as you can see, they take off all the public lighting for one night. But all night. And for sure they make information, communication, they ask the people, they tell the people. And then you discover, because there is quite a light, so here it's with public lighting, here it's without public lighting. And as you can see in the picture, there is a lot of light. You have any idea where does all these lights are coming from?
The roads? From the roads?
No, no public lighting, no public lighting. So what else do we have? Exactly, private lighting. All this lighting here is coming from private lighting. That means residence, that means shops, that means advertisement, that means information, luminous panels, and so on. So we calculate, not me, but a lot of people, researchers are calculating that 40% of the light pollution, 40, is coming from private lighting. 60% is coming from public lighting, that means all kind of street lighting and pedestrian lighting and architectural lighting and so on. But 40% is coming from private lighting. Houses, farms, industry that are working, farmers that are lighting their properties, and as I said, advertisement and information panels and so on and so on. So again, to fight against light pollution, we need not only fight for public lighting, for sure it's 60%, it's important, but we need also to find and to do regulation for private lighting. And I'm very happy that yesterday some of the group talked about shop lighting and expressed the will to make regulation and to, if possible, rules. So today you will work on that, and it will be very nice to see what do you propose, if you propose to shut off everything, or to lower down the level of light, or to impose some color, or, well, there is a lot of capacity and a lot of possibility. So this event is very important. It's every year. Many cities are doing it now also, not only Geneva. What we call the Great Geneva is the agglomeration of Geneva. It's 1.4 million people so living there. So it's quite a huge amount of people living. And many cities are doing that. So again, if you have a chance to be in a city where there is this event, I encourage you to experiment it and to see what you feel and how you react to this darkness.
So the idea for that is, as I said, is to educate the people about darkness. To educate them about light pollution, for sure, but also to educate people, including the young people, the children, what is about darkness, how darkness could transform our way of being outside at night time. Very important. But then, what is very important when we're talking of darkness is what we call the social acceptability. Because if you impose darkness, let's say a mayor will decide one day to say, okay, we will never put on the lighting for many, many months. You cannot just act like that because you will have a lot of reaction, maybe riots in the street, and people will complain, and they will be really not happy about that. So it's very important to first communicate about your decision, then to talk with the citizen, with all the community, to ask them if they will accept darkness, for what period, do they think it's interesting. So we need to make consultation with the inhabitants, we need to educate them about lighting, about darkness, to explain how it is, what do we see at night like we did during our night visit. And for that, we do also a lot of what we call exploratory night route, like we did in our site location. And for that, we try to really bring some pedagogy and to educate people. So, for example, when we do a lighting master plan, this was a lighting master plan for the city of Rennes. All this route in colors is what we did by foot or by bus with the citizen. So we spend many nights to visit all the districts and to go there with sometimes, if possible, politics, deputy mayors, and for sure technicians of the city, and normal citizens that want to discover the city at night and that want to get more information. So this is a very important part of a lighting strategy, a lighting master plan, because it really helps you to first understand what the people feel, and then when you propose new ideas and new concepts, people will have already a good knowledge about it. So we do that very often, and if possible, each time we're doing a study of lighting master plan, we do workshop, including in winter villages. This is a small village. We had 150 persons living there, but we do a workshop like we do here. So we ask people what do they think of the lighting of the village, or what do they like, what do they unlike, which kind of color temperature they want, because again, we don't want to impose a color temperature, because the people living there during all their life, they should take the decision and select the color temperature they want. So for sure, in our workshop, we're going to decide, for example, but the historical center, we would like to put 2,700, but we decide, and then maybe people living in the city center say, no, I don't want 2,700 because I don't like it, and so on. So we should really make consultation, discuss, exchange, dialogue, because they will live here every single night and they will have to face the decision we take. So in this kind of workshop, we try to understand each other, we bring a lot of knowledge, and if possible, we listen to them and we try also to get from them some information. And we also make some experiments. For example, we experiment different type of color temperature. We have some little tools to show to the people what would be 2,200, what would be 2,500, 2,700, 3,000, because if it's theoretical, it's very difficult for people to understand what you propose. So the best thing is to play with the color temperature and to show to the people. We experiment also big contrast, we experiment the level of light. So we measure the lux level on the ground and we try to discuss with people if they are comfortable, if they like this kind of level of flux, depending, as I said at the beginning, of their age, of their vision, of their feelings, and all this help us to build a lighting strategy. So, to go on the new trends, there is a lot of focus on new nighttime mobilities. First of all, because mobilities are a big issue for many cities, including, for example, for bicycle, but also for pedestrian routes. So what we try is also to bring, because the idea of this lecture is to show you a new way of lighting, and not only the very common one.
So we try to get autonomy for all kind of mobility. So first for bicycle, there is a lot of way to have light on your bicycle, or to highlight the way you take in the space, including with phosphorescent line, for example, or this is material, phosphorescent material, little stones that you can put into the asphalt. So it charges with the sun during daytime, and then it restitutes some lighting, or at least some luminosity at night time. So this is something we are experimenting in many cities, and I will show you an example including in a garden with phosphorescent painting. So you can also encourage the users to have their own light and to use it instead of creating infrastructure of electricity, creating a lot of lighting all along the bicycle path. You can encourage them to do that. And I mentioned, I think it was yesterday, in Switzerland they are doing what they call a highway for bicycle. Some of them will be 50 kilometers long, 100 kilometers long, to go from one city to another city. And for sure, you're not going to create urban lighting for 100 kilometers, crossing forests and valleys and everything. So then you can encourage people to do things differently. So this is a very important issue. If you have time during this workshop, think about bicycle network. Here in Lviv, we have seen that there is a lot of bicycle paths. We have seen also that they are not continuous. You showed me on the map that there was a lot of interruption. So maybe you can think of some proposal and conception and design for this bicycle network. I think it would be very useful for the urban planner of the city of Lviv. We can use this kind of phosphorescent material, or so here this is phosphorescent painting. This is phosphorescent little pebbles, little stones. As you can see, it works. It's okay. I mean, for sure, with the pictures, or sometimes it's overlaid. But we did that in a campus in south of Paris, and it works very well. At night time, at least for 2, 3, 4 hours, you can see quite well the sign, and you can see also the line. So the bicycle will have enough luminosity just to go on from one place to the other. And I think it's a very good option. You don't have to light all the time. You don't have to create a dark electrical infrastructure, and you can really propose something different. You can also have a portable autonomous lamp for pedestrians. So I am really a lover of portable luminous lamps. I will show you. I designed some of them. So the idea is to give independence and autonomy to the people. So we create autonomous portable lamps for outdoor, and with this autonomous portable lamp, you can choose the color if you want, you can choose the level of light, and you can feel free to go out, including into darkness, because you really think you are totally independent. So this is something I have been designed for the last 3 years with a French manufacturer. It's linked with the public lighting, so you can charge it on pole by induction, and it's for free. The idea is really to do that for free, just to register, to be sure that you're not going home with it. And you can go on and you can use it and you can play with it. You can also put it on a bench. You can choose with a special app which kind of color you want, and so on and so on. So I'm sure in the future, a lot of manufacturers are working on that right now. And in the future, they will make a lot of progress to create this autonomous lamp. These lamps, when they are fully charged, is 7 hours capacity. So it's already quite a lot. You can already do a lot of work and make a service provider. Yeah. Yeah, good. I will be fine. Thank you. So I think it's something very important, and especially we have been talking the days before about safety, security, with lighting or without lighting. So this is also a very good way to give to each one the capacity of being totally independent and being free. In some of the districts we have been visiting, if people have this kind of thing, I'm sure you can decide if they want to get out at night, even if we propose some darkness, and we can decide to be totally autonomous and independent, but they don't rely on public lighting. So I'm sure in the future That would be something very important, and we are developing that, including for example, national parks or historical sites. When you go to a castle with a huge park around, you could have this kind of lighting. Instead of lighting everything everywhere, you could really propose new approach and new way. So we are creating projects in France with that fixture, and well, very soon you could see them in action. So I wanted also to talk about the capacity of not making regular lighting, so not having poles every 25 meters, 30 meters all along the way, all along the street, and along the pedestrian path. I really think that this was invented at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of 20th century, but we don't need to do that in the future. We can have other approach, we can really create different space with lighting. So 2 examples. We can create, as I said, what we call lounge lighting, to create some space with some structure, with lighting, with capacity of connectivity. You can get charge for your smartphone, you can get charge for your computer, you can even get some music if you want. So this kind of lounge would be, I think, in the future very interesting. It could be on a square, it could be on a little plaza, it could be in a park, and you can really use it like a Lego, you can construct whatever you want. So we really try as lighting designer to invent this kind of space and to light the space instead of having regular continuous lighting, to light it differently. Another one we just defined just 1 year ago. It's with another manufacturer. It's again a system of structure, very easy to install, and then you can play and you can choose the light you want. You can choose a fixture, you can choose whatever type of light or whatever atmosphere you want to create. And the idea also is the possibility to put it somewhere else when you decide to use it somewhere else, not to make it for eternity or permanent, but to install it. And if you use a solar system or autonomous system, you don't need to have electrical wiring. So that would be also a very good possibility, including for your proposal in some public spaces. We don't have always to use pole and to make them regular on the side of the street. Then another topic very important, and I think for the city of Lviv that might be very important, because when we had the discussion with Anton, the architect of the city, he explained us that the city will really be a model for health and care and well-being for people. So I think we can also use this kind of approach of care, well-being for people, including at night time. With light, we have the capacity of creating ambience and atmosphere that can care people, that can relax people. So you have heard of luminotherapy, I'm sure, because this has been invented a long time ago already. So you can use artificial light to, for example, fight against the seasonal depression when it's winter time. We can also develop what we call chromotherapy, which kind of color will interact with your brain and how will you feel, for example, in orange color, red color, yellow color. And I will show you later on, we can also develop what I call darkness therapy. So some examples, some of them realized, some of them as a project and design, how with lighting in some specific spaces we can create a very tiny, small atmosphere, but to relax people or to give them a different way of being into the light. We did this garden in Paris, so again, if you go to Paris, I encourage you to visit it. It's a garden where we develop chromotherapy, so there is 7 spaces designed by the architect and the landscape architect. And each space has a different color for daytime, and we use the color and the colored light for nighttime. So it was very important for us. We try to evaluate now what people prefer, depending on their age, their gender, and it's really interesting to see how people will react to colors and colored light. So we can also use colored light, because as I said, with LEDs, we have a lot of possibilities, and we can really propose different ambience and atmosphere with colored light. I am really fond of colored light, so I try to promote it as much as possible. And that was some project we did for the Olympic Games in 2024. It was not realized, but the idea was to give the capacity of the people to choose the color with an app on your smartphone. You arrive on a bench and you want purple light, so then you ask for purple light and you get purple light, and you are very happy about it. And when you leave, it goes back to nothing, and someone else can decide that you want green light or whatever light you want, or even white light, because we don't want to impose all kind of colors. And we think also that it would be very interesting to leave people choosing the colored light they like and what they want, depending on the use. For sure, if you are reading a book, maybe purple light will not be the best one, but if you are talking with a friend or having a romantic love affair, maybe magenta would be great, and you'd like to have a magenta colors on your bench. So, we are also, as I say, using phosphorescent and trying to create darkness therapy. So we realized this very interesting garden just 2 years ago, and all the fresco on the ground was made by a very young artist, and it's all made by phosphorescent painting. So there is no lighting at all, no poles, no pedestrian poles, darkness, total darkness, and at night time, you get the emission of light by the phosphorescent painting, and again, depending on the days like today, very clear, very sunny, you get 4 or 5 hours of luminosity. If the day is clouded, you might get 2 or 3 hours, but it doesn't matter, it's a garden, and people won't stay until 1 in the morning. And the good thing about the kids, they understood quickly that with the smartphone flashlight, they can really charge the painting and create some very nice things, and trying to transform the paintings the way they want. So this kind of experiment is very interesting. Since 2 years it works very well and people are very happy about it. And to finish with, I wanted also to talk a very important subject for a designer is circular economy, and how we can develop projects nowadays to take into account the carbon footprint. For many, I would say decades, we did not care at all about carbon footprint as lighting designer, many of our profession neither, but nowadays, to take into account carbon footprint is a very important issue, and in some competition in France, it's a new criteria. In some competition, we are asked to deliver the quantity of carbon footprint, and if we could reduce it, and it would be a criteria to win a competition or to lose a competition. So again, I wanted to show you a project made by my studio. I was not involved in this project because I already quit the studio, but I think it's a very nice project. It's for the Olympic Village in Paris for the Olympic Games 2024. It's a huge village that was constructed especially for 15,000 athletes, 14,500 in fact, on a very huge space. And from the very beginning, the committee, Olympic Games committee, asked for a circular economy capacity and to be aware of the carbon footprint and how we could reduce carbon footprint. So there was a lot of very interesting projects, including ramp for disabled people. But what I wanted to share with you is how we design poles, starting with old poles, how we renovate the design using old poles and making with old poles new poles. So for sure we made a dark infrastructure. I won't explain that because I already talked a lot about dark infrastructure to preserve biodiversity. But the focus on this lecture, and I'm finished with, it's about this carbon footprint. So you need to understand that in a pole, you have 85% of carbon footprint by the pole itself, and only 15% by the luminaire. So if you want to have a very strong impact on the carbon footprint, you really do something with the poles, and if possible to keep the poles or to reuse the poles. So that was the idea, to reuse the poles as much as possible, because to make this new project, and for example, if you take the example of Ville, or all the sites we have been visiting, if we change the lighting, if we renovate it, we will have a lot of poles and luminaires that we will get. So normally people will just throw it away in the garbage, but it would be a pity because it's a kind of resource. So it's the idea with this presentation to finish is to make you think how we could reuse the material, in which way, what would be the design of this reused material, and what can we do. So you will have here some example. This is some example, it's not always like that. So we use two kind of things. We use the old poles, and we use also for brackets. This is for scaffolding. You know scaffolding for building construction? Everyone know this word, scaffolding? Yeah, in Ukrainian? Thank you. So, because of all this construction, there was 5,000 tube that was thrown away because the scaffolding was not used anymore and the building was finished. So the idea for the design team was, what can we do with tube that were for free because no one wanted to use it? Can we use it as bracket? The bracket costs quite a lot, especially if you want to design a bracket and use it. So what they do is creating a bracket with luminaires and making a new design out of it. So you have also, I'm not going to go in detail, you will have the presentation, you can have a look very carefully. So you have in detail the carbon footprint and what we save compared to t-shirts. This is a good way of comparison. So it's 615 t-shirts that you can save. And also compared to heater in terms of carbon footprint. So you will have time to have a look carefully, but I'm going to finish right now. So we have two types of new pole or reuse pole. So the first type was this one, type 1. The second was this one, and in this one we use two poles. So you have one old pole here and another old pole here. We cut them, we clean them, and we redesign to make this design. So you have the explanation here. We get a lot of very old pole. Then we select two of them, we cut them, reassemble them, and reuse them, and make them almost brand new. Sometimes there were paintings. There was a lot of complaints by the neighbors because they say, "Wow, this is not very nice because it's not painted at all, and it looked like Soviet Union." You don't told us. But no, come on, this is natural material. We don't have to paint all the time the iron or the steel, you know. And then finally he was convinced because there was a lot of communication and article about the Olympic Village, and the team won a lot of international awards. So at the end he said, "Oh, that was a good idea." So yeah, so this is all the work. You need to remachine, drilling it, sandblasting, be sure sometimes paint it, but not all the time. And there was a lot of difficulties because sometimes they are not good enough. You have difficulty of size, problem, like this one, you discover that you cannot use it anymore, and so on. And also a big challenge was how to know about the resource. We didn't have any database, so what would be the next step for circular economy in lighting and in urban lighting is to create database to be sure that a little city not far from your project will have thousands of poles that you can reuse. But how do you know about it if no one tells you? So that would be a national database that we will start to create, and that will be a very good opportunity for circular economy. So you have seen here the final result. We reduced by 50% the carbon impact of all the project, and it's a huge project because, as I say, Olympic Village was almost 15,000 people living there. And in a way, it was quite creative, and we were very well, I would say, we had a very good success about that. So that's it. Thank you very much.